Hello lovely brides and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lauren, wedding planner and owner of Bluebird Creative. I provide a weekly dose of wedding planning goodness for the stylish bride. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell, and you'll be notified every week when a new video lands. You may have noticed I am yet again sporting the old husk. Came off the back of a large event on Friday and lost my voice, and she is still struggling. Yeah, I'm just rocking the husky sort of sexy voice today, so we'll just go with that, right? Anyway, today we are talking social media at your wedding. How will you manage the social media at your wedding? Let's jump in. Right, so today I've got a couple of tips for you when we're thinking and talking about social media at your wedding. So, first of all, the most important thing to do is decide which side of the fence you sit on when it comes to social media at your wedding. Are you in the, I don't really care, it's everywhere, take photos, post them online, it's absolutely cool? Or are you, this is a private, intimate event and I don't really need the rest of the world to share it or see it? Or perhaps you're a little bit in the middle and you want a couple of restrictions in there. So let's go into it. First of all, you need to work out whether you're here, or maybe a little bit here. So that's the first thing to consider. So let's talk about if you're one of the brides that is debating an unplugged wedding or a semi-unplugged wedding. You can't even see my hands. I'm going here instead of here, right? Okay. So a fully unplugged wedding would be absolutely no photos by guests, absolutely no social media whatsoever. That's actually quite simple, isn't it? That's the rules, none of it, thank you very much. This is the middle, okay, is a little bit more complicated. It doesn't have to be particularly complicated, but it's in the middle, so we need to know where the rules are and what rules you're deciding to add. So, do you just want an unplugged ceremony? So an unplugged ceremony is what it says on the tin, is no social media, no photos during the ceremony. Now, the reason brides and grooms go down this route is they are employing, usually, a wonderful photographer who is going to photograph their ceremony. They are professional, they know what they're doing. So they're quite happy with those photos. Now, what can happen at your wedding is that guests will have their phone and they will then start leaning into the aisles to try and get pictures of the bride and groom at the altar. Now, if you've got a photographer at the other end that's trying to get a nice long shot, for example, you're then going to have Doris and Dennis sticking their head into the aisle, blocking their shot or having their phone in the shot. Or worse of all, if the photographer's taking photos back down the aisle and you've got people and their cameras. I mean, some people like those pictures and that's fine, but you might not. So you might decide, unplugged ceremony, leave the photographer to do their job. Then, once everyone's left the ceremony, each to their own, take as many photos as you want. There's also another limitation you might want to put in. Now, you may say, absolutely, take photos at any point during the wedding, that's absolutely fine, but please don't post anything on social media. You may say, yes, take photos at the wedding. You may post on social media, but please do not post until we have posted something, because you might want to share with your friends and family a picture of your wedding day before Doris and Dennis get in. So perhaps say to them that they can post a day after or whatever. So what about when it actually comes to telling your guests? How will you go about telling them? Now, if you're over in this camp still and you really don't mind, you don't really need to tell them, do you? It's kind of a given. People will take photos at weddings. They will probably put them on social media. So they're fine. These people over here will need to know if you're having a completely unplugged wedding. And the best way to do that is to add a card or a note into your invitations and let your guests know, there's a fly, and let your guests know that you've decided to have an unplugged wedding. You might need to explain it. Some people will know exactly what that means. Perhaps the older generation will not know, but they probably won't be posting on social media. I'm speculating there, but you get the gist. If you're having a wedding website, then you can also pop it on there as well. Now, the people in the middle that are having a bit of this and a bit of that, it's still a good idea to write something in your invitations. Then nobody can say they missed it because they've got the invitation. If they've RSVP'd, they've read it. So perhaps put the rules. It's also a good idea to actually put some signage up on your wedding day. Now, if it's just an unplugged ceremony that you're having, have something as they enter the ceremony space to say, we're having an unplugged ceremony, please put your phones away and enjoy the moment in person, or something along those lines. I've literally just thrown that out. If you're having a completely unplugged wedding, again, maybe just pop that at the entrance to the ceremony, so it's right at the beginning of the day, just to say we're having an unplugged wedding, please put your phones away for the day, grab a drink or whatever and have a good time and make some memories. Something along those lines. It's another little touch point and a reminder of your wishes for your day. Now, what about the people in this camp over here that are absolutely happy with social media? Now, you can up that a touch if you want to. Why not create a hashtag for your wedding? That means that when anybody posts a photo on any type of social media, you can easily find it by using your wedding hashtag. So for example, if it was me, I might put the Goodman wedding. It's not very original, but that might be what I use. There's probably lots. So the best advice would be to check first. Don't just come up with a hashtag, write it on the day and never check it, because you might find that loads of people have the Goodman wedding. It's quite a common surname, it seems. So check the hashtag first and see if there's many posts, and if there's not, then go for it. Otherwise, choose something where there's not really any posts under that hashtag and use that. Then you can put it on some signage at your wedding day. Again, you can put it on your wedding website or your invitations if you want to, but it's not as necessary. But just make sure it's visible on the day so your guests can see it. And then when they share their photos, you won't miss out and you'll be able to find them, which is really nice. And all your guests can see them as well, and they get a real great picture and get to enjoy the experience all over again because they're catching everybody's photos. And finally, you need to make sure that you're managing your expectations. Now, if you have decided to go for the unplugged ceremony and you have informed your guests via invitation, via website, however you've decided to go about it, if you've put signage up at your wedding as well, you have done everything to let people know. You can even have ushers or your wedding planner keep an eye out. If guests decide to pull their phones out, perhaps just sort of, a gentle reminder, oh, we've decided to have an unplugged ceremony. You shouldn't have to do it yourself. If you've got a wedding planner, ushers, bridesmaids, that's perhaps a job that they could help with on the day. But you need to manage your expectations. There will be guests that forget, and there will be guests that will ignore. And that is where you need to kind of just make a decision to either let it be or do something about it. But you don't want to just stress yourself out on the day. So hopefully all your guests will remember and all your guests will respect your wishes. But just bear in mind, it doesn't always happen, and that hopefully you're okay with that. So there we go. There's a few tips for helping manage social media at your wedding. I hope you found this video helpful. I would love to know what you've decided to do for your wedding or what you're thinking about. Are you over here, in the middle, or over here? So that's full social media, a little bit, totally unplugged wedding. Write in the comments below and let me know what you're thinking for your wedding. Anyway, guys, I will love you and leave you. Happy planning. I'll see you next week. Get my gist. But you catch my drift? Catch the drift.